Okay, so I am going to do a geometry lesson and trying to look at the roots. I wouldn't do this for my middle school class, but this is something I would do more for an elementary level. So I'm gonna fix the computer or the camera a little bit. I don't have any students, so it's gonna be kind of cheesy in a mock lesson, but I'm gonna try my best. Okay. All right, class, so today we're gonna start off a geometry unit. We're gonna look at the different shapes and kind of see what we already know, and then use the root of the word to help us understand what we don't know. So first, to get our brains started, let's brainstorm. What shapes do we see in the class here? Yes. Okay, you see a square. Good. So we see a square. What other shapes do we see? We see rectangles. Good. Yep, the clock's a circle. Very good. Clock's a circle. What other shapes do we see? Maybe back there? A triangle. Very good. All right. Any others? Okay, good. So what we want to do is we want to use the root of the word to help us understand what it means, and other words like that. So who remembers what the root of the word, what a root is? Good, it's the base of the word. So if we want to look, let's take the word triangle for a second. Okay? So triangle. Can someone tell me what the root of triangle is? Yes, try. Very good. Now, right now, with your partner, I want you to take 30 seconds and brainstorm what other words do you know that start with try? So go. So obviously they would brainstorm here. And then hopefully some of them would pull out words like tripod or triple. And so I would then ask the class, what do these things have in common? Like, what do we know about a tripod? Why is it called a tripod? Because it has 3 legs. Or a triple. When you get a triple in a softball game or a baseball game, what does that mean? You get to third base. So what do we notice these 3 things have in common? And hopefully my students would get onto that it's 3. So we could assume the root try means 3, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass out a handout that has, that almost looks exactly like, it's going to be a chart. So I made my chart here on paper. Okay, so just to make sure we can see that better. And so first class, what I would like you to do with your chart that looks exactly like this is I want you to look at your shapes and I want you to try to underline or highlight the root with your partner. And so you guys have already discussed that the shape triangle's root is try. So right now with your partner, try to underline or identify the different roots in these words. Okay, and so obviously I'm going to give them some time to do that. And then I would do a share out with the class. Okay, so what do we think quadrilateral is? And hopefully they'll see quad. And then pentagon would be penta. And hexagon would be hexa. Decagon would be deca. Octagon would be octa, and hexagon would be hexa. So right now, I would like you guys to go to your root column and write down all of your roots, okay? So they would write down try. And class, we already know what try means. What does try mean? It means 3. And then quad penta, hexta, deca, octa, and hexa. So I would then ask my class to brainstorm or to think about, so we know tri is 3. Do we know what any other roots mean? So can we use any other words? And so maybe I would expect them to, they might know quad, so they might be able to anticipate that quad is 4. I'm just going to put the letter 4 for, and they might know that deca is 10. Some of them might know that. And I would also anticipate that they might know that octa is 8, you know, relating it to the word octopus, which has 8 legs. So after they maybe brainstorm a few that they know, since my school is a one-to-one iPad school, I would ask them with their partners to look up what the rest of these mean. So penta, hexa, hexta, and hexa, okay? So I'm gonna give them time to do that, and then we'd share out with the class what they mean. So penta would be 5, hexta would be 7, and hexa would be 6. Okay? So then what I might do, if maybe even if groups finish early, which, oh, it's over there. Instead of running out of the video, what I would do instead of finishing early is I have these shapes. And so I would give them shapes and I would say, okay, now looking at the shapes and what we know here, match the shapes with each root and with each shape. So I would take them and they would take a triangle and match it with tri. And then once they've done that with their partner, I would ask them to then draw a picture in this last column of each shape. So they can use the shapes that I give them to help them draw it. I have the shapes, but whatever. And then maybe I'm gonna let them get through that. And then as an extension activity, since this is an elementary lesson, I was thinking, how could I connect this to a content outside of math? So I would then probably show them, I'm gonna go to my smartboard. I would then probably show them this shape. So let's say in science class we were learning about dinosaurs. I would say, okay, does anyone remember what this dinosaur is? And hopefully there'd be some brainstorming and they can say, oh, that's a triceratops. And I'd be like, okay, triceratops, does that have one of these roots? And hopefully they'll say, oh, it's tri. So can anyone tell me why this is called a triceratops? Why do you think it's related to the number 3? And hopefully they can come across with, oh, this dinosaur has 3 horns. And then as an extension activity, I would ask them to create their own dinosaur or their own creature using one of these over there, one of those roots. So maybe a quadrosaurus is called a quadrosaurus because it has 4 eyes. Or a pentasaurus maybe have 5 horns. And give them some examples. Let them brainstorm out. I don't know why that's not working. Let them brainstorm out what creatures they could create. And so that would kind of be their last extension activity. And maybe I would follow it up later, you know, the next day or next 2 days with having them read a paragraph and then highlight or identify these roots that we've talked about. This wouldn't be just a one lesson, there'd be many follow-up, but this would kind of be a good introduction to how I would teach each root and how they relate to the shape. So thank you for watching and see you guys next week.